Good day and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today the video is going to go on to the second setup in the fleet order. Um, so I am going to be deciding between support and defense. Uh, sorry, not support. Support and first line strikers. First line strikers aren't the heavy hitters. They're basically the ones who are medium range. They hit a lot and they do a lot of damage, but they aren't running any particular gear to make them that glass cannon type of bird. So I'm actually now gonna go into one of the next two after defense would be debuff and support. Both actually in the exact same class, but I'm gonna go with debuff commanders first. Okay, now when it comes to a debuff commander, it means that your primary function is to weaken your enemy. So you are going to run Norse Energy Drain and you are going to run Stasis. But your setup in terms of gear is going to be almost exactly the same as a defense. Okay, now while I wait for things to load, let me just do this right now. Um, if you'd like, please subscribe to my channel, leave a like on this video, comment down below, and if you don't like my content, just leave a dislike and give a comment towards your dislike so I understand what I did wrong in the video. Okay, so now I'm actually going to show the setup that you're going to need if you're going for a debuff com. So first things first, let's get into what you need in your research. Okay, where is this? Electronic systems. Electronic systems is the first thing you need. The electronic warfare, as you can see, deals with your stasis webifier. Right? And it shows how much less of the capacitor it uses. So this is one of the first things you need to upgrade if you are going towards the level of debuffing. When it slows down an enemy, the reason why it does so much of damage is they are unable to move. And when they are unable to move, what it means is their shield, which has a deflection capability. Wait, let me go into a shield quickly. The shield, which has a defensive capability, will ricochet attacks as it takes hits. And overall, the speed that you run at actually determined by your missiles determines how much of damage you're going to do. So if you lose velocity, you do less damage. And similarly, let me just show you on this. No, this isn't what I'm looking for. But regardless of it, it shows you the velocity of your missile at 81 meters per second. Now, what that means is if the enemy is moving away from you, which generally they are, when you hit them with the 81 meters per second round, if they are moving away from you, you reduce that speed. So if they're moving away at twice your speed, that means you lose 20% of the speed. And if you're gaining on them at twice the speed, that means you gain 20% more damage on them. Now let me show you the shield. Right. Now when it comes to your shield, I'm not sure exactly why it does this here, but the moment you get webified, your shield takes extra damage. If I'm correct, it's because the shield has a deflection range, or its deflectors, one of the two, that have a range on their attack. Let me just look at this. Okay, I'm not exactly sure what this thing is, but the faster you're going, the more it seems to disperse the impact. That's because you're getting hit with a slower round and it's capable of moving more of the damage away. But when you hit them with Webifier and you slow them down, when you hit, you'll see that you do about 10 to 20% more damage. And if you have full capacitor, full power, that means that you can hold a person in place and do even more damage than normal. And you need it to be the most efficient and the most long range possible. So that's how come you're going to go for the highest possible level. As you can see, 11.8 meters. And activation time is 5 seconds. Activation costs 4.1 gigajoules. Okay, you can see the power requirement. Flight velocity adjustment minus 53%. So this here will reduce enemy ship by 53% of its speed. And if I were to use a better setup on it, I can actually reduce even more speed of our opponent. So if there's two of us doing it, it's going to be say from 600 down to 300, and when the second person hits it, it'll be down to 150. At 150, you are going to be gaining on them at 150, so it'll be 81 plus 150 if you're firing missiles at them, you're doing extra damage because of the speed that you've gained, and it means that you have more velocity and you have a better target. They're going to evade less, they're going to deflect less, they're going to absorb less damage into energy and things like that there. And basically, you're going to hit harder and go right through. In terms of your gear that you're going to use, I'm actually in that exact class of ship. So my ship is basically set up as a debuff comp. Only difference is that I'm not running the right rigs on my ship to. Sorry, I'm not running the right rigs on my ship to give it that debuff. So here's the basics. I'm running missiles, even though I don't need to run long range missiles. I can go right up to an enemy at less than, if I'm right, less than 27 kilometers, and I can fire on them. I can even go up to 5 and 6 kilometers and hold on with the debuff. Now, the other thing is, even though you're running in a format with the defensive line in front, you need to have some defense as a debuff comp. When it comes to the fight, you are going to be the second line to arrive to the fight, followed by support. Actually, you and support are supposed to arrive at the same time, but that's basically how you're going to structure your fight. Now, when it comes time for you to hit your enemy, the tanking comms are going to go right in front. They're going to get into the fight, and you are then going to maneuver yourself right into the front where they are, and you are going to take down the enemies who are debuffing. That means any commander who's running a stasis weber fire, you're going to hit him first. Once they are out of it, that means your defense comms are taking less damage and are less likely to lose their shield. The next thing you're going to do is take care of all those who are running NOS energy drain. Now, you also have to run NOS energy drain so that you can keep the enemy drain low. And if there's 4 or 5 of you running on one enemy, you're draining their energy faster than they're going to recover and be able to redeploy weapons. Now, you'll see that I'm running afterburner on this build. That's because afterburners are the best for general running away from combat, or for getting to the next location quickly and getting around the other ships which are already at the same speed as you. And when it comes to your rigs, unlike what I did, you need to run different rigs. Defensive rigs will do fine, but you need to be more focused on your uh, you need to be more focused on your debuffs. So I'm going to go straight in here quickly into the market and see if there's any rigs for debuffing enemies. Now, another thing to note when you're running this, the best weapon to use on this close of a range, if you're running in the missiles, is a torpedo launcher. The torpedo launcher hits hard, and you can take this extremely close range. At 8 kilometers or 5 kilometers, the torpedo launcher does massive damage, and that's where your advantage comes in. Let's see. Weapons, drone rigs. Trying to check if it's in here. No. I don't think I don't think there is one. But nonetheless, this is your engineering rigs. If I'm right, this is your mechanical rigs. So basically, you're going to plant this on your ship to give you an extra boost in energy or speed, whichever way it goes. Okay, never mind that. Alright, so I've explained the basics on how you're going to fight in the forward. Now, the next thing that you need to think about is how are you going to run yourself into your fleet when it comes to it, because it's not always going to be the defensive comms who have the mission. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to launch your 2 defensive comms up front in the start with the person with the mission. The person with the mission is going to warp the fleet to the front. That means you have to appoint them as deputy. Once they arrive to the front, they are either going to warp back, or they are going to hold off for a bit of combat. As you saw, my corporation has finally cleared their debt, and we're setting up our office. I'll be talking about that in another video after this series. So once it comes to this point here, that's when your support and your debuffs go in at the same time. All of you can deal damage. It doesn't matter whether you have the rigs or not for doing massive damage. But that's the whole thing. Support, defense, and debuffs all running at the same time to start the combat. And that's basically where you're going to run. Okay? So the next thing to think about in terms of your fleet formation is going to be, when do your attackers pitch up? Immediately after your debuff com leaves, your attackers undock and they immediately warp. That means both waves of attackers will come in at the same time and you will fight. Obviously, I'm doing it one at a time due to the amount of space that the videos take, and because I was having a problem earlier last week where I made two videos at once and my video wouldn't upload when I put it up to go online. So that's how come I'm doing this in one by one videos. Sorry for the delay in them. So thank you for watching and have a good day.